Well, Daniel, one thing about temperatures like this, you tend to get that weird wintry mix, which isn't always fun.
Yeah, and we're going to have a lot of things going on. The good thing tonight is we're going to be the warmest night we've had since then October in the 40s. But then we'll have some rainstorms move through, eventually freezing rain, snow, especially into the western half and western half of Minnesota, northwestern Iowa. So going to be an entertaining day, that is for sure. Going to get slick and icy everywhere, especially as we get after midnight tomorrow night as temperatures for all of us drop below freezing. So let's get into it because there's a lot to talk about. After midnight tonight, some showers and a few thunderstorms going to move through from the southwest to the northeast. We'll continue scattered showers and storms really on and off through the morning into the afternoon tomorrow, and then even into the evening. A cold front's going to move through from the west to the east. That's going to start to drop those temperatures to right around freezing and then eventually below freezing, and that's going to lead to some freezing rain and snow, especially west of Mankato. We'll get through this here in a second, but you can see a couple showers starting to develop right now. Moving through New Ulm, Redwood Falls, activity going to start to pick up, especially as we get past midnight tonight. We have winter weather advisories in effect in the counties in purple. This is going to begin late tomorrow afternoon through early Saturday morning. That is the best potential in those counties for a lot of freezing rain and some snow. To the east, as you go into Mankato, Waseca, Albert Lee, temperature is going to hold above freezing until we get about past midnight tomorrow night, before eventually all of us again do drop below freezing. Tonight, scattered showers, storms move through, start to pick up in activity as you get towards about 3-4 o'clock in the morning. That cold front starts to progress to the east. Showers and storms, waves of activity continue through about 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll get some breaks in activity as we go through the day, but eventually that activity starts to pick up even more as we go into tomorrow night. We'll start to the east. We're going to have this warm front right to the south of Waseca. The better chance of seeing a strong to severe storm is just going to be to the south of that warm front. Better ingredients for some severe storms to develop as you go into northern Iowa, places like Algona, Mason City. Now, along that warm front to the north, still could see an isolated strong storm, but again, the better chance is going to be to the south of that warm front as we go through the day tomorrow. Then we have this cold front to the west. Behind that cold front, along that cold front, you can see all that pink. It's going to be some freezing rain going on for a few hours as we go through tomorrow night, especially starting about 5-6 o'clock into places like Marshall, Redwood Falls, Windham, Worthington. This slowly starts to move to the east. Rain tries to hold on to the east into Mankato, Waseca, Albert Lee. Freezing rain still going on to the west, and then starting to eventually turn to snow into places like Marshall as you get towards about 10-11 o'clock tomorrow night. Eventually this still continues to move to the east as we get past midnight tomorrow night, and then you can see freezing rain now starts to take place into Waseca, Albert Lee. Snow now moving through Mankato, New Ulm, and it'll be a little bit of a wet snow. Most of us looking at under an inch of snow, a better chance of 1 to 2 inches as you go to the west, and then everything moves out of the area as we go towards about 7-8 o'clock. Saturday morning will thaw out as temperatures get into the mid-40s by about 2 o'clock on Saturday. Now you can see these pink areas. That is the best chance again as you go to New Ulm, Redwood Falls, Windham. We're talking ice accumulations for a lot of people, around 1/10 of an inch of ice. Some spots getting some localized ice amounts of about 1/4 inch of ice, and that's also the best area for seeing about 1 to 2 inches of a slushy snow as that system makes its way through. And this is why you can see these temperatures tomorrow about 11 a.m. all of us mid to upper 40s to near 50 degrees. Then those temperatures start to drop pretty quickly behind that cold front as you go 7 o'clock tomorrow night. You can see Windham down to 31, Slayton 27, still 40 in Mankato, Blue Earth near 50 as you go into Albert Lee. But then after midnight tomorrow night, all that moves to the east, and we're talking all of us getting below freezing. That is going to lead to slick, icy roads everywhere as those temperatures drop. A little bit of black ice going to be possible as well. The other thing with tomorrow, the wind starts to pick up out of the northwest as that cold front moves through. We're talking gust about 30 miles an hour, so it's going to be slick and icy, especially as we get into tomorrow night. But we do warm up mid-40s. Saturday, Sunday is looking amazing into the mid-60s. Still warm Monday and Tuesday, and then we drop feeling like winter as we go into next week. Sports Extra after the break.